Hello, I'm Dr. Sam Hancock of the Emerald Planet and Emerald Planet TV. We come to you on a week-to-week basis from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technology, services, and products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we have a planet of 9 billion people by 2038 and possibly 12 to 13 billion by the end of this century, how are we going to be able to take care of all these people on planet Earth? And that's what Emerald Planet's all about. We come to you looking at the solutions, the best practices from around the globe as we create the Emerald Planet. Hello, welcome to the Emerald Planet. We're making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And seeing the long-term impacts of climate change. We're glad to have you. Thank you for being with us. Looking at the globe and the impacts that humankind is making on the environment is something that Rotary International has been cognizant of for many, many years. But it took a concerted effort to move this idea forward. So becoming the 7th idea program area for Rotary International is dealing with the environment. Alan Anderson, the founder of the Rotary Climate Action Teams, RCATs, is the one that helped bring this to Rotary and to the world. And he's going to be talking about climate change and the impacts that it's having on the world. So, Alan, again, welcome to the Emerald Planet TV.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I'm going to move right into our discussion, Alan, and this is about your Rotary Climate Action Team, the RCAT, or RCATs as we're calling it. Tell us why these are so important and how do they actually operate?
Well, Sam, one of the things that has been interesting in giving public education talks on climate change is discovering the percentage of people who kind of know that climate is a problem, but they don't know enough about it and they're not really doing anything about it. So when we started a climate action team in our club, one of our first efforts is to educate our own club members. And we do that on an ongoing basis with periodic updates on the climate to our club members. Mm-hmm. Then we're also doing local projects. And in our case, our first project was to install 2 EV charging stations. And those are the first 2 public ones in our town. And then we are also inviting other clubs to join the Rotary Climate Action Team Network. And I do public speaking tours of other clubs roundabout to share with them the climate challenge and why they should be starting a climate action team in their own club. And then in our case, our city has a climate action plan. So our Rotary Club is working to support the city's climate action plan in any way that we can.
Now, why is it so important? I will leave this up to have Rotary clubs involved in doing this, both within local communities and globally. What's special about Rotary?
You know, Rotary is really one of the unique organizations in that we have Rotary clubs in most of the countries of the world. We have, I think, 34,000 clubs across the world. And we have people from all types of backgrounds, but especially we have a lot of business people involved in Rotary. And when you look at our effort with polio and all the good that that's done, we would like to use Rotary's global reach and credibility and capital, social capital, if you will, to bring that same type of effort to work on climate action.
Yeah, and addressing the climate really is a social good. But looking at the Rotary Climate Action Team, tell us a little bit about the button we have here and why this is really so apropos to where we are as we're moving through the 21st century.
You can see the button there, and in the background is a globe of the Earth. And so frequently people say, well, you know, if what we're doing doesn't work, we'll just go to plan B. But in fact, if we get this wrong, there is no planet B for us to go to. And so we're trying to emphasize to folks that this is really an urgent issue. It needs action right now. And there is no other choice besides addressing climate and bringing down greenhouse gas emissions rapidly.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, Alan, and you shared this image because there really is no plan B. Either we're on planet Earth and we're living, a balance of all living beings, plants, animals, biome, as well as human beings, or there is no planet. And so that's something we really need to be aware of and to work towards to make sure we are protecting the planet. But looking at this is something we mentioned earlier, is about this seventh area of focus. Why did supporting the environment become that seventh area of focus?
One of the things that's been happening, especially over the last 50 years, since climate change really made itself known on the scene, if you will, more and more Rotary clubs across the country and across the world have been asking Rotary International to add the environment. And there's a group called the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Climate Action Group, or SRAG, which was formed a couple of years ago. And they have been working very hard to get a seventh area of focus. And our Rotary Club, our climate action team, just added our voice to the fight. And we're happy to say that with all of those people working together, and with a special credit to the SRAG team, Rotary International has added this seventh area of focus. And when you look at the other 6 areas, you realize that we can fail in every one of them if the climate becomes unfriendly. So it's the supporting the environment supports all other 6 focus areas.
Yeah, I think that's really very, very important. But talking about something very concrete, a real project, tell us a little bit about this for your town and why this is more than just being symbolic.
So one of the visible projects that our club has done in our local community is to add 2 EV charging stations. And you see this one connecting soon. Both that one and the second one are both up and running now and serving electrical vehicle owners. And this is more than symbolic because we have to transition away from gas-powered vehicles. And one of the biggest roadblocks based on research to people being willing to buy an electric vehicle is range anxiety. They don't know how far they can travel on a charge, and they want to know, are there EV charging stations wherever I'm going to need one? So the more communities that add EV charging stations, that will spur the sales and growth of electric vehicles. So we're hopeful that this too will become a trend and we'll have more and more stations.
Yes, that's absolutely fantastic. Spreading the climate action message around the world, this is something that early on you really wanted to have this truly international, as Rotary is truly international. So looking at these mix of clubs, why is it so interesting but important to have this type of mix instead of just having it in the United States or Japan or South Africa or wherever it may be? Why do we need this type of mix?
Well, the type of mix is really critical because no one country, even a big country like the US, where we still actually are number 1 on a per capita basis for CO2 emissions. Although China is number 1 overall, we're still number 1 by a long shot on a per capita basis. So we need not only our country, but countries across the world all to be working on reducing emissions in their country. And here's the little acorn of Northfield RCAT down in the left corner. And since then, really pretty much in the last year, it's grown to towns and Rotary clubs in Turkey, Uganda, Sri Lanka, Italy, Canada, and many other cities in the US. And it's our hope that it'll keep growing because we need that global reach and a real movement on the part of all of Rotary to make a difference on climate.
Well, once you put this in the Rotary world, which you've already done now in a very dramatic way, things are going to move. But networking the world, why must we network the world?
Any one country really can't do it by themselves. And so one of the beauties of Rotary is that we're all connected to clubs all over the world. We have one international Rotarian magazine, and that's actually how we started the interest from other countries, by having articles in the international magazine. And if we can get clubs everywhere to be influencing their own members, to begin to take action, and also to begin to impact their governments, hopefully we'll actually get on track with not only the Paris Accords, but even more aggressive goals than the Paris Accords.
Right. I think this is absolutely fantastic. We're going to be looking at some slides here. Some of this it's almost gross, Alan, but very dramatic. So just tell us what we're looking at here. The one with, all the fossil fuels, the smog, the CO2 emissions, and then the juxtaposition. If we don't have all that, we're using more renewables, and we really are starting to take care of the environment as we humans should be doing.
Yes, there's going to be several dramatic slides that show a typical day with air pollution created by power plants, like coal burning power plants, and also automobiles. And then on the right-hand side, what it can look like when the sky is clear. And some people might say, well, really, what difference does that make? I mean, we have to have industry and so forth. But it's not a trade-off of either or. You can have clean air and a vibrant economy. And the clean air is more important than aesthetics, because the United Nations estimate that somewhere between 1.5 and 2 million people die every year just from air pollution. And the associated cost with all of those illnesses is tremendous.
Yeah, when you look at these photographs here, I mean, it really is dramatic. And these are very different cities, actually on different continents. And you can see the difference that all is happening as far as when you have the heavy smog day, and then when you have a day when it's actually clear. But looking at the future, Alan, and we're going to leave this up with your logos. What do you see as we need to be doing now to make sure that the Rotary Climate Action teams really are working? And you have about, again, 20 seconds to do that.
Well, I would encourage everyone to officially join SRAG as a membership function of Rotary International. And then in your own Rotary club, start a Rotary Climate Action team. We started ours with 2 people, and now we have 18, including college presidents and bank presidents and the CEO of the hospital. And they're fully engaged, and we're hoping to make a difference and spread the word.
Thank you, Alan Anderson, the RCATs, as we create the Emerald Planet.
Thank you.